Hi, I'm Sandy Genovese, and we're making a birthday card today. So I have it in an envelope. I'm pretty sure this is an A7 envelope. I measured the dimensions of this is 4 3/4 wide by 6.5 long. And I'm going to pull this out, and you'll see that the card that I'm referring to is actually a mobile. And what I have hanging from the spiral is all different representations of birthdays. I've got balloons, I've got ice cream cones, there's candles on the balloons and cherries. You know, this is where you can play and really do whatever shapes, whatever fun things you want. But you saw how easy it was for it to lie flat and to go into an envelope. And when I lay this flat now, you can see that I've also used the spiral for my birthday message. So I started at one end and I just wrote, "Have a super birthday and enjoy everything, even ice cream and cake on your very special day," because of course I have ice cream and cake in this mobile. So if I just hang this out of the way for a minute, let's look at how to start. Obviously, as I referenced, you want to start with an envelope that's going to fit for the size spiral you're going to use. So I gave you the dimensions of the envelope that I used. As I said, I think it's an A7. Now what I did was I die cut a spiral. This is a Biggs or an All-Star Sizzix die, and it creates the spiral. But if you don't have this, it really is not difficult at all to make a spiral from a circle. So I started and I cut a 4-inch circle. The diameter of this circle is 4 inches. Then what I did, and you'll want to make sure that it's finished, going to fit inside your envelope. I could have actually even made it looks like a tiny bit bigger, but that's the size I started with. As well as cutting one out of tag board or poster board for the spiral part, I also cut one out of copy paper. So this is also a 4-inch circle. And what I did was I folded it in half and then opened it up, and using the fold as a guide, folded it in half again because I want a way to mark the center. I've used a little push pin where those two folds intersect so that I can mark the exact middle of my spiral. And when I flip this over, you'll see this was the middle. If I lay this down and mark that with my pencil, that's exactly the center of that circle. You use that center as your starting place, and you just start with a slight bend and you just swirl around. And you can try to make this channel here or the trail of the spiral roughly even, but I don't worry about it being. You're just going to keep going and keep going all the way around until basically you go off the edge. Now, when you finish going off the edge, you have two choices. You can either keep it narrow and thin at the end, or if you want it to be more like the one that I die cut, somewhere up here you could snip off this little trail and you have a more blunt end. But either way, it's going to result in a really simple spiral, and the spiral is the simplest of all in order to create a mobile, because you don't have to worry about balance. You want to start first by the way it's going to hang. So I'm using an 1/8-inch hole punch, and I want to go back to the middle, and I'm just going to punch a hole in the center of that section. And then I've got ribbon, and my ribbon looks to me like it's about 18 inches maybe. Of course, how long it is really depends on where you want to hang it. So make the ribbon length suitable for where you think you're going to want to hang the mobile. I have the two ends of the ribbon, it's looped, and I have the two ends together, and I'm going to just use this to tie a knot in the bottom of the ribbon like so. And with my scissors, after I have it knotted, I'm going to trim off the excess. And then I want to poke it through the spiral. So I'm going to use tweezers just because it's a little easier to take. This ribbon is pretty soft. It's not going to want to poke very well. So I'm going to poke it through the hole. You can see it's starting to poke up here. So I'm going to just pull this, and as I turn it back over, you can see I'm pulling until the knot catches, and that will become the way that my spiral is going to hang. Once you have the hanging mechanism ready, then it's just a question of creating all the places where you want to hang the elements that are themed for birthday. So if I take and I use my punch, I'm going to punch a hole every place I want to hang one design. And because, as I said, the beauty of the spiral is you don't have to worry about balance. It can just be every place you think one would look good, because the spiral is the simplest of all. I'm not going to bother to keep going, but you put as many holes for as many elements as you want to hang. Once you have the spiral ready, then let's look at how to create the hanging elements that are going to attach to the spiral. So you can use stickers, you can use die cuts, kids can hand create their own, you can hand make your own, but you do want to make sure if you use stickers that you use mirror image. I have these balloons, and if here's the cake, for instance, the mirror image needs to be that if I pull one off, it doesn't match. It has to match when the sticky sides are together. So if I flip this over, these are mirror image stickers. Mrs. Grossman's, nearly all of hers are mirror image, which is great if you're going to use a sticker. The beauty of a die cut is all you have to do is just flip it over. It doesn't have adhesive on it yet. You're going to add the adhesive. So every die cut will work easily for this. So I happen to use all different stickers to create cupcakes, ice cream cones. I'm going to pull the balloons. Let's just do balloons. So I'm going to take and I'm going to turn over and expose the sticky side of this balloon. Let's see if I can get my hand out of there. And then I have thread. And I want the thread to hang out of the top, but in the case of the balloon, I want a little tail that looks like the ribbon on the bottom of the balloon. So I'm going to leave a little bit of a tail coming out the bottom of the balloon, and see how I just have the thread going right through the middle, and then I have enough thread left that I can actually thread it through and hang it in the spiral. What I want to do is I want to take the mirror image sticker. Let me get that off of there. And I just want to place it right over the top. So I'm sandwiching in between the two layers the white thread. So you end up with the two stickers stuck together. I have the white thread for hanging, but if I want the thread at the bottom to look a little more like a ribbon, I thought that it was more ribbon-like if I put black and made it really stand out. So I'm going to take a black pen and I am just going to color that thread. Let's see if I hold this down. I know if my finger's in the way, I will move it, but without my finger to hold it, it is popping all around. But it's not hard. If I move this now, you can see that that black shows up more than the white does, and it separates it from the mechanism that's actually holding it. So once you have all of the elements ready to hang, then you just need to poke them up through one of the holes. So let me bring the spiral back and I'll show you. I'm going to just take the spiral. I'll take the balloon that we just created and I'm going to poke it through one of the holes. So let's see if I can poke it through. There it is. And then pull it up. So I need to decide how long or how short I want it to be. I try not to have too much thread dangling because then it tends to want to tangle when they take it out of the envelope. So I think I'm going to have it about like so. Now, in order to hold it in place, I'm going to fasten this down with just a little dot sticker. I'll bring this in and you can see I have this geometric stickers. I'm going to use the squares and the different colored dots in order to place over that hole and to also attach to that thread. Now you're going to do the same thing with the other shapes. Once I leave all this extra thread initially and I don't push down too hard until I hang. I actually, when you have all the shapes, you hang and then you see, gosh, if it looks better for one to be a little shorter or a little longer, look at what happens. I can pull this down. If you'll watch the balloon, see how I'm pulling it because I left that thread longer. I could make it all the way, even longer still, or I could go back to making it shorter by pulling this on this. Once you decide that is exactly where I want it, then you press down hard and just go back with your scissors and trim off the excess thread that sticks out of the top. So if we go back to Look at how well then that sticks, that now is dangling. I'm going to go back and add all the other elements. In fact, I'm going to set this down so that I can bring the finished one back over, and you can see how all of the elements, how fun and how cool it looks as they all hang together. And then you saw it is a simple task to just let the whole mechanism fall onto a piece of paper. You can add more of a message on this. I just used white copy paper. I'm going to put the ribbon in there. I'm going to close it up, and the whole thing slides really nicely and easily into an envelope. How cool is that? Now, if you have the kids home for the summer and you want to do a project with them and get them started into crafting, let me bring this over and show you how fun it is to take the same idea, but instead of it being birthday themed, these are bugs from the yard. Now, these are also Big's die cut shapes. I've got the lizard and butterflies and a dragonfly, a ladybug. Your kids can use whatever they want. They can hand draw them. They can once again use stickers. You can use die cuts, coloring book, designs, whatever works. But it's a fun thing to involve them in crafting as well. Sending a mobile as a birthday card, it's a unique way to say happy birthday, and it looks great hanging on display.